Good morning, everybody. Mr. Sheridan here. So, I don't think I've told most of you this, but there is going to be a simple music theory test tomorrow. And what I want to do for today is use this as practice. So, what I did is I created a music theory test study guide. And the study guide is actually very much like the test. I'm not going to read what I have written here, but a lot of this, well, this is set up exactly how the test is, and rather than me telling you on the form what you need to know, I have a bunch of questions that are very much like the questions that you will see on the test. Now, the test is going to be a little bit longer. Most of the test questions will be different from what we see today, but don't be surprised if I reuse a couple questions. But I wanted to make this video of me going through this test study guide, and I'm actually going to go ahead and answer all the questions in this video and save the document like that. I will send you a blank test study guide and the completed test study guide today, and you will also have this video to show you what you need to do, show you what you need to know. So in this video I'm going to be flipping back and forth between this Word document and a PDF of music that I made that is the test review materials, and I guess that's more like the study guide that shows you what you need to know. Anyway, let's jump in. So the test is in 4 sections. We have this first one, which is theory knowledge. I'm just going to ask you questions that hopefully you should know at this point. If you don't know, then I have what you will need in this video. Some of this might just be type in your answer. Some of it may just be multiple choice. So don't be surprised to see both forms of that. You can see here I have one multiple choice question. I'm not going to divide the test into multiple choice and then also short answer. They'll be interspersed with each other. So yeah, I'm just going to go through each one of these questions and show you what you need to know. So here we have: which scale has multiple forms, the major scale or the minor scale? Now you probably know this already because we've talked about the different forms of scales, but on the study guide materials we can see here I have the major scale, and there's only one major scale, only one kind, but we do have 3 different kinds of minor scales: natural, harmonic, and minor. So which scale has multiple forms, major scale or minor scale? The answer is, oh, I am totally wrong. The answer is the minor scale has multiple forms. Now, I wouldn't expect you to write all this much out, but they are natural, harmonic, and melodic minors. Okay. And again, this should be review, but the difference between the 3, first of all, the major scale, we have do, re, mi. We have a major third, is the kind of third that we have in our scale. From C up to E is a major third. All the minor scales, doesn't matter which form, has a minor third in it. Do, re, mi. That doesn't get up quite as high. E flat's just a minor third above C. So yeah, and with the minor scales, we can see we have a lowered third, lowered sixth, and lowered seventh. For natural minor, same way up as it is down. For the harmonic minor scale, we have a lowered third and sixth, but we keep that seventh up as high as it naturally is. It's a B natural here in the major scale. We borrow that major seventh for the harmonic minor scale, and it's the same up as it is down. And then the melodic minor scale, it's just that minor third is lowered on the way up. We have do, re, mi, but then we have our natural sixth, our major sixth, and a major seventh, and then it changes on the way down. You must remember, melodic minor scale is the one that is different on the way up as it is on the way down. Question 2. What kind of chord is made up of a major third, then a minor third? So I have created here a listing of each of the different kinds of chords you need to know. And these are going from the smallest intervals up to the biggest intervals. The diminished chord is a minor third and then a minor third. From C up to E flat's a minor third, E flat to G flat also a minor third. minor chord is just a tiny bit bigger than the diminished chord. We have a minor third from C to E flat, and then a major third from E flat to G natural. I guess I should have really marked that G natural, but since it's a new measure after that bar line, we know that's natural. The major chord is, we're going to flip-flop. We're going to start with the major third from C up to E as a major third, and then there's a minor third on top of that from E up to G. That's a minor third. And then the augmented chord is the big one, the biggest intervals involved. It's two major thirds, from C up to E, major third, from E to G sharp is a major third. And then there are plenty of different kinds of seventh chords, and I didn't want to get into all that, but with seventh chords you actually have three stacked thirds. And I didn't say major or minor because all the different kinds of seventh chords, they have different kinds of thirds here, but they're all a third from C to E, and then another third from E to G, and then another third from G to B. So the question is asking, what kind of chord is made up of a major third, then a minor third? So I'm just going to go over here. We are looking for a major third, then a minor third, and that's this one right here, major chord. We have a major third first and then a minor third on top of that. So the answer is major chord. Okay, the next question. What scale degree determines if a scale is major or minor? So that means we're going to come back, look at our scales here. I pointed out the major scale has a major third. C up to E, the third note of the scale, is a major third. And then all three minor scales, from C up to E flat, that's a minor third. Now, if these scales start at a different point, it's not always going to be E is the important one. So the important scale degree for major versus minor is always going to be the third scale degree, which also, here in a second, you will see that is called the mediant. All right. Next question, what name does the fourth step of a scale have? And this time I did give you multiple choice. So what we have here, what name does the fourth step of a scale have? I laid out the C major scale, and this time the markings underneath will tell us the first step is the tonic, supertonic is second, mediant is the third, like I just wrote in the other answer, fourth is the subdominant, fifth is the dominant, sixth is the submediant, and seventh is the leading tone. And then we're back up to the tonic. For the C major scale, C's are tonic, so is the higher C. So the question was asking about what the fourth scale degree is. The fourth scale degree is the subdominant. So for these multiple choice ones, I'm perfectly happy if you want to highlight it like that. A lot of you just go ahead and mark your answers like that, something like that. I don't care how you do it, just as long as I can see it. Okay, the next question I have, when inverting intervals, the original interval number and the inverted one add up to what number? Now, I couldn't really think of a very great way to phrase that, so the best way to show you is just to show you. Here I have a few different inverted intervals. The first one I have is a major third from C to E. When we invert that and we go E up to C, it goes from a third to a sixth. 3 becomes 6. 3 and 6 add up to 9. Same thing here. We have a minor third, C to E flat, and then a major sixth, E flat to C. 3 becomes 6. 3 plus 6 equals 9. Here we have an augmented fourth tritone going to a diminished fifth tritone. 4 plus 5 equals 9. Perfect fourth goes to a perfect fifth. 4 plus 5 equals 9. Now we could also do this with 2 and 7, or we could do it with, actually that's the only other one other than 1 and 8 for unison and octave. So the answer is that this number, when it changes to that number, they always add up to 9. And it does not matter what interval you start with. Its inversion is always going to add up to 9. And then, I didn't ask a question about this here, but I might ask a question about it in the test. When you invert intervals, a major interval becomes minor. A minor interval becomes major. An augmented interval will become diminished, and vice versa. A diminished interval will become augmented. The only augmented or diminished interval I'll ask you about is the tritone, this one here, C to F sharp. And you can also just refer to both of those as tritone. And a perfect interval, even though it changes number, it will remain perfect. A perfect fourth becomes a perfect fifth when inverted. Okay. And then the last question I have on this section is what triad inversion is represented with the numbers 6 and 4? So I also have here inversions. These first three, these are triads. There's only 3 notes in these chords. And down here we have seventh chords, which have their own set of numbers. So we have first is root position, which we don't have to add any sort of numbers to the Roman numeral here. We just include the Roman numeral. The numbers would be 5 and 3, but we don't need to look at them. If we have it in first inversion, it will have a 6 next to the Roman interval, Roman numeral, because E up to C, that is a sixth. And then second inversion triad, that's the one with 6 and 4, because E is a 6 above G, and C is a fourth above G. So these numbers have to do with intervals above the chord. So the question is, what triad inversion is represented with the numbers 6 and 4? That is second inversion. And I just realized I will mark these here for root position, first inversion, second inversion. Same thing down here, except this is seventh chords. We have root position, first inversion is now 6-5, second inversion is 4-3, and third inversion is 4-2. I will mark what these different inversions are before I send this out. Okay, note ID is the next section of the test. You've done this plenty, so I don't want to spend much time with it, but you will have 5 notes. Make sure you're paying attention. Some of them are in treble clef. Some of them are in bass clef. Very quickly here, we have D, E flat, F sharp, G, and C. So that's how we would answer this. We would answer D, E flat, or you could write E flat. I don't care how you want to write that. You can use the word flat or sharp, or you can use a lowercase b for flat or a hashtag for sharp. Note 3 is F sharp, F sharp. Note 4 is G, and note 5 is C. And that's exactly how you would do it. Interval ID is the next one. So again, we've done so much of this, I don't want to take too much time. Our first one is an octave, or perfect octave. From C up to C, when it's the same pitch in different octaves, that's an octave. C to E flat, that is a minor third. Or you can call that lowercase m3. E and A, that is a perfect fourth, or a P4. G and D, that is a perfect fifth, or a P5. And interval 5, G and D flat, that is a tritone. You don't have to say augmented fourth or diminished fifth. This one specifically, G up to D flat, that's a diminished fifth, but really you can just say tritone. I'm totally happy with that. And then the last section, this is similar to the last chord inversion worksheet we did. We have multiple chords. And this is the same exact progression. It's 1, 4, 2, 5, 1. That's the same exact progression that I used for the chord inversions worksheet. We're looking at a chorale here. So I have here what the 4 chords that make this up are: C major, F major, D minor, and G7. I list all the notes in those chords. So what you have to remember here is we're looking at this bass note in each chord. If it's the root of that chord, it's in root position. If the bass note is the third of the chord, it's in first inversion. If it's the fifth of the chord, it's in second inversion. So the questions here, the first chord is C major with a C in the bass. What position is this in? So it's C major, C is in the bass. So if we look at C major chord, and our bass note is C, the bass note here is C, that's our root. This one is in root position. The second chord right here, it's F major, and it has an A in the bass. Its lowest note is A. So we look up here. We have F major. We don't have F in the bass. We have A in the bass. That's the third. So if the third of the chord is the bass note, then the chord is in first inversion. Question 3 says the third chord is D minor with an A in the bass. So once again, we look here. We have D minor is the chord, and A is our bass note. This bass line has stayed from A to A. So we have D minor. It's not the root in the bass. It's not the third in the bass. It's the fifth in the bass, which means that this is in second inversion. Let me just line this up. Okay, and then finally, the fourth chord is G7 with B in the bass. What position is it in? So G7 with B in the bass. So we're talking about right here. It's a G7. B is in the bass. That note there is a B. That's that's the third of the chord, which means that this seventh chord is in first inversion. I hope that you kept up with that. I am going to be sending this out here in a moment. Please, today is a great chance to let me know if you need any help. I recommend that you go through the study guide and try to finish it without watching this video first, or without looking at the completed one first. And then after that, at that point, I would watch the video and or look at the completed answers to see if you agree with what's there. If you need to reach out to me, please reach out to me. I want to make sure that we all have the best score possible. You need to send me an email whether you need help or not today to be marked as present. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.